The Lord of the Abyss, the God of the Symbiotes. Yep, there exists a God of Symbiotes. We have known the Symbiotes for so long and know that they come from a planet called Klintar, which is also the species name. But did you know that there is an interesting backstory to their origin and also their creator? Yeah, our shape-shifting friends with fangs and claws have a creator, who actually is their god. And trust me, he indeed has an intense backstory. Welcome to the Comic Hood, and today we'll be talking about the origins of Knull, who made his appearance recently in 2018, 34 years since the first symbiote appeared in comics. So stay tuned till the end while we get you caught up with Dracula, or the creator of our well-known symbiotes. Knull first appeared in the issue 3 of Venom written by Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman in 2018. But it was the issue 4 where the readers get to know that symbiotes that we have known so far, who were believed to have a good origin, actually had more to their past. We get to know that Knull was an ancient deity who lived billions of years ago, even before the universes and creations existed, when the whole universe was nothing but darkness. In this issue, Knull explains his history for the first time. The comic starts with Knull narrating his entire story by saying, "In the beginning, there was nothing. Then a war started, which began by the explosion of light, and in the light, there were beings who were gods." And of course, Knull is referring to the Celestials who came into the realm of darkness and felt that it was incomplete and something that should be filled with. Hence, they started molding it according to their wishes and creating universes. And of course, our god of Abyss wasn't a great fan of the idea. He says, "My kingdom was not empty. My abyss was not red or hollow. The endlessness of my lands was not theirs to raise and reform and remake. No, the void breathes." As he is saying this, he creates a weapon from his own shadow and attacks a Celestial, completely decapitating him. No kidding, he severed the head of a goddamn Celestial. And for that crime, he was banished to the void, but that was not such a good idea. The void or the abyss is where his home is, and from where he gets his power. And there he began his work in the severed head of a Celestial, strategizing his war plan and making his first weapon. That's pretty intense, cause forging weapons in the middle of the cosmos inside the severed head of a god who you just killed sure sounds like a good weekend plan. He also goes on to say that the first symbiote was actually a sword. He continues his story by saying, "I was unrefined in those early days, and as such, the creation of the proto-symbiote was unclean. To this day, the weaker of my creations carry the scar of their progenitor's birth inside of them. They still fear the fire of the forge and the discordant and incessant noise of a celestial hammer beating their will into something wieldy, into something beautiful." And this right here, my friends, explains why symbiotes are weakened by ultrasounds and fire. After this, Knull ends up waging a full-on war with the gods. Also, we get to know that it is this sword itself that has been called the All-Black or the Necrosword, the God Slayer. And if you didn't know, it's one of the powerful weapons in the Marvel Universe that has been literally used to kill gods. Now continuing to our story. After fighting many battles, Knull couldn't stand on his own for too long and was injured by a god. He ends up falling onto an unknown planet where we get to see Gore, the god butcher, taking his all black, which is a tie-in to issue 6 of Thor God of Thunder 2013. Gore also is a being who hates God, and after getting the all black, even he went on killing gods. We'll get to see Gore in live action in Thor Love and Thunder that's releasing next year. Anyways, Thor story is for some other time. Now getting back to Knull. Now, after lying in the pit of an unknown planet for many years, he discovered his new power, a new revelation. The power he's talking about is of course the ability to bond his living abyss with lesser creatures which he could pilot as his vessels. Wait a minute, can this act as a substitute for the anti-life equation? I'll let you guys decide. Now, Knull describes this event something like, "I could draw strength from the host, glean from them information about my surroundings. This moment, this primordial instance of symbiosis on this near barren land, this is where it all truly began. This is where I gathered my horde, where once I was alone, now I was the center. I became their hive mind, their god host." In the next few pages, he goes on to explain that he was able to control these creatures even across galaxies. But when one of his symbiote dragons called Grendel visited Earth, it was struck down by Thor's lightning. The lightning strike not only affected the dragon but also affected Knull and ended up affecting his connection with all the creatures his symbiotes had bonded with. Now, free of Knull's control, all the symbiotes had their free will back and ended up bonding with other hosts, which resulted in them rejecting the path of darkness. Knull goes on to say that it was indeed this thing that was their infection, their poison, their venom. Good one, writer. The symbiotes then rode into mutiny and turned against him, imprisoning him in a planet-sized cage made completely out of symbiotes. Remember how we thought Klintar was the name of the species and also the planet they came from? Well, that's exactly not the case. Klintar is actually their word for cage, and the planet that symbiotes come from is a planet-sized cage that is imprisoning Knull at the center of its core. Also, remember the dragon Grendel? The dragon that was struck down by Thor's lightning? It actually was discovered by the US government Well, actually US military, a few years back and was used to create super soldiers to help the US military in their missions, and they were named the Symbiote soldiers. Yeah, we get to know that Venom wasn't the first symbiote to attain symbiosis on Earth. Fast forward today, we get to know that Knull has been trying to make contact with his symbiote creatures who are across galaxies while he is still caged. He does end up successfully awakening the fallen dragon, which then goes on rampaging throughout the city, which gets Spider-Man's and Venom's attention. They try their best to take it down, but just as Miles is about to blast the dragon from within with an electric blast, Knull comes out of the dragon holding Miles in his hand, asking Eddie, "Does this belong to you, child?" And to clear it up, Knull isn't physically present here. He's just piloting the dragon, still being far away. And it is exactly at this moment Knull explains his complete history to Eddie. Knull's story is expanded in the King in Black series, where he finally ends up coming to Earth. That's all the spoilers I'll be giving you guys today, and I'll let you enjoy the series, which you surely will because it's really well written. The pre-reads for the King in Black being Absolute Carnage and of course the Venom series, which will help you connect everything better. And that's everything you need to know about the God of the Symbiotes, his history, powers, and storyline. Marvel finally ended up expanding the character mythos of one of its famous characters after 34 years, since Venom appeared in the issue 252 of The Amazing Spider-Man for the first time. Do let us know if you like the way they introduced this character after these many years. Also, if you have read the 2018's Venom, Absolute Carnage, or the King in Black, do drop in your reviews and your favorite moments. That said, today's video comes to an end. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, do leave a like.